Hey guys, it's the real Deadman here, and happy Halloween. Well, the other guy kind of passed out from cleaning out my liquor cabinet after doing part 1 of this Deadman Wonderland review. Following this review, I think I'm gonna have to get my liver checked. Though, interestingly enough, I can't completely blame the poor guy. Cause really, along with the massive amount of plot holes and ridiculous premise, this anime has really nothing going for it. Does it have good animation? I say it's okay, but it's not entirely consistent between episodes. It's also a little bit on the dark side and makes it really hard to see. Oh, and one more thing, it's way too gray. I get they're trying to shoot for atmosphere, but all this gray makes it very unappealing to the eyes, you know. Is the music any good? Personally, I thought it was a little noisy at times, and kind of sounds like they're ripping off the Saw soundtrack. I'll get more on that later. What's more, I really don't care for the opening. English and shirtless teen boys should never mix. Ugh. Are their characters interesting at all? No. While I do pity Gonta for his situation, I don't really care what happens to him. As it was said in the last part, we're kind of rushed into this mess of a plot and never had a chance to connect with Gonta in the first episode, and just had to listen to him scream and cry most of the way. As a result, he comes off a little bit more annoying than even Shinji Ikari. I mean, at least Shinji's parental abandonment story was relatable, and in the rebuild movies he has become pretty awesome. Shiro comes off as mostly just a pest. In the second episode, Gonta claims she helped him, but I would call BS on that one, and say she nearly killed him at several points. The side characters didn't come off all that interesting to me either. I could pretty much predict everything they were going to do, from every betrayal to becoming friends to dying, yada yada yada, whatever. Also, the villain Tamaki has to be one of the worst bad guys I've ever seen, and I don't mean that in a good way. He's just a sadist who makes stupid decisions that would expose Deadman Wonderland's hidden agenda if it weren't for the fact that most of the civilians in this world are morons who can't tell when their fellow man is being horribly mutilated in front of them. Which brings me to my next point. The show's genre claims to be horror, but does the over-the-top gore and violence make for good horror? No. No. And no. Yeah. The other guy said the obstacle courses look like something out of the Saw movies, and that was a good way of describing this anime. An attempt at becoming a very bad horror movie series. Like the Saw movies, they rely way too much on very over-the-top violence and gore to produce horror. Now, honestly, I thought the first movie was pretty good, but by the time the second Saw movie came out, I was pretty much used to the gore, and it was quickly starting to become stale for me. Especially when there's no real sense of scary atmosphere. Same thing with Deadman Wonderland. While the opening scene was good, they were laying their chips on the table way too early. The show lost a lot of its shock value with that one scene, and following that and some very implausible plot twists, we're left with a series that has laughably over-the-top deaths. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not at all against violence in anime. Heck, one of my favorite anime is the very violent Black Lagoon. The violence in this show can get very over-the-top. But at the same time, it makes sense because the setting is a lawless hellhole overrun by smugglers and modern-day pirates that could very well exist, and makes it a very fascinating setting, actually. The only reason a place like Deadman Wonderland can exist is because of an absurd amount of plot contrivance. For a good horror anime example, I think some of the gruesome deaths in Another are very well done, because one, while it's a little over the top at times, they do seem like plausible deaths, and two, they add to the very creepy atmosphere that comes from the sense of danger at every turn. Sense of danger in this anime? We have a lead character with superpowers and plot armor, and thus we come to my biggest complaint about this show. It has no idea what it wants to be. Is it trying to be a prison anime? I don't know, half the time I forgot we were in a prison. The facilities are way too clean, and they have a fully equipped cafeteria, bar, and of course that stupid cast point system. It almost feels like they were going for the more typical high school anime setting, which, last time I checked, most high schools don't accept serial killers. As a result, it takes away from the sense that they need to escape from this rather comfy looking place. And I'm pretty sure the main objective of Hogan and his friends was to escape and so forth. Is it trying to be a serious social commentary about how corrupt the Japanese legal system and government are? No, because Gantha's trial was unbelievably one-sided, and most of the general public are so gullible that they probably have subscriptions to the National Enquirer. Now, I know some of you out there might bring up suspension of disbelief. After all, this is anime. Though then I would argue there's a difference between using suspension of disbelief and smacking your head against the wall until you can't tell left from right. Not that I've ever done that. Yes, anime and suspension of disbelief can let me believe people can fly and shoot beams out of their hands, or have teens become Green Reapers, or be able to capture godlike creatures with small balls. What it doesn't allow is defiance of very basic common sense, especially without any real setup that could allow for such nonsense to pass. If they had actually gone all the way and built this world up as a corrupt, government-controlled dystopia like, say, in George Orwell's 1984, then I could believe a young boy could be sent to death row with little to no evidence. But instead, this world is built as a fairly normal world minus anyone with an IQ over 70. So really, it comes down to lazy and inconsistent writing. Really, if you don't know what you're writing, how can you expect to produce any plausible story? And that's what Deadman Wonderland is. Complete and utter nonsense that expects us to take it seriously. I mean, it would be as if I didn't know who I was, and I would just be
silly. Wait a minute.
Oh, hey, dude. Thanks for covering me for how long now?
What? Who are you?
I'm Deadman, and you're my evil double or something or another, and you've been covering my Deadman rant for now, haven't you? Oh, hey, you did part 2. Thanks, man.
No,
I'm empty. You okay, dude? Ooh, have you been hitting the bottle while I was gone? Cause I don't think you should really mix alcohol with this anime or that starts to happen. Oh boy, he's Wow. I guess the show is so bad it exercised the poor guy. Okay then, well, happy Halloween, guys, and I gotta clean up a bit of a mess now. See ya.